Hello and welcome to Sacred Space, the podcast. I am Tanika, your host, and let's get into this episode today. So, it's going to be about tracking your cycle with the moon and how powerful that can be to connect you with your cyclical nature. No matter what phase of woman you are, it's such a powerful way to connect you in with yourself and deepen your relationship to yourself. So, before we get into that, get deep into that, we're going to just have our oracle card for the week. So I actually used a tarot card deck this week. So it's my first ever deck that I got, and it is the Angel Tarot. So it's a little different to normal tarot. Anyway, we got number 3, the Empress, Archangel Gabriel. Lavish abundance, give birth to your dreams, nurture yourself and others. I love this card. It's so pretty. It's so cute. Cute might not be the word, I don't know. But anyway, Archangel Gabriel is standing there. He's holding like a golden, it's like a very golden card, and he's like surrounded by wild animals. Like there's deers, there are little bandicoots. Anyway, that's probably off topic. It's like the abundance of support. It's like it looks very nurturing, and he's out in nature. And I just feel so connected to this card. Wow. So let's have a little read of what it has to say. The book I have is huge, by the way. I've got like the extended like edition of what the card means. So I won't read all of it, but I will read a little bit. So it says, when the Empress card is drawn, it's time to stop pondering our fate and get busy. It's a time of amazing prosperity, and we can be assured that we'll be very successful at everything we put our minds to. The Empress is a sure sign of the ability to manifest our dreams. This card can be an indicator of impending pregnancy or the birth of a child. This can include adoption. Motherhood and maternal issues are also within the Empress's domain, so nurturing ourselves or those around us is something this card is very concerned with. However, we need to remember that giving birth can be a metaphor for beginning a beloved project or a new phase of our lives. Our baby might be a business we just opened or a book we're in the process of writing. And while we're nurturing those around us, it's also just fine to do something luxurious for ourselves. We may spend time in nature, buy ourselves a beautiful piece of jewelry, or seek out healing experiences such as massage or Reiki. Wow. This card feels really aligned to me right now. I'll explain why in a moment. But I also just want to have a skim through if there's anything else that's written here that may, sparks my brain, and I'll read it. The Empress is surrounded by abundant life, including cypress trees that symbolize the strength of our convictions to achieve our goals. Surrounding the Empress are many symbols from nature. The baby bear reminds us of its magical ability to hibernate and then to reawaken in the spring. Oh, it's springtime, like in Australia anyway. Amazing. I don't know, that just really hit me. That really hit me. Our time of quiet with the high priestess has passed, and now we must wake up. And it's kind of just goes into all the different animals there. So there's a deer, there's squirrels, there's a cougar, there's coyotes, definitely not raccoons or whatever I said at the start, but that's totally fine. It also says the card number 3 is connected to creativity, innovation, and communication. So that is pretty much all. Sorry, I will just actually read. It says Archangel Gabriel is usually mentioned in roles involving communications, such as announcing a birth or being considered a messenger between God and humankind. Her name means the strength of God, and she's often portrayed carrying a great trumpet to awaken those who slumber and call them to action. She's known for appearing in copper colors, and also associated with the planet of Venus, and the Venus is the planet of love. So how beautiful is all of that? So, so beautiful. What a beautiful card. The reason this really landed for me is because it was like last month, I think it was a year since I rebranded my business to Sacred Space with Tanika Lace. And in that, it was like a very fertile time for me of like rebirth. And I could really feel that there was a lot shifting within me. I was kind of like, am I having a baby? Like, is that the next step for me? I felt like it was almost like I felt, yeah, like that birthing experience was soon to come, right? I was my womb was just giving me all these like messages of like birth is coming, and of like new, like there's like something new coming. And it was just so interesting that it was kind of at that year mark of rebranding my business that all of this came up. And that does happen energetically. We kind of like shift through things anyway. But I kind of was like, at the time I was like, I don't think I'm ready for a baby yet. Like I just don't think I look forward to that experience, but I just don't think it's exactly what I'm like desiring right now. Like, what is going on? And then it was like, bang. That's when I don't know if I've spoken about this on my podcast yet, but I'm now studying naturopathy. So I'm doing my Bachelor of Health Science in Natural Medicine. And it's so funny how it all worked, because it was kind of like I literally have been wanting to do it since I was younger. And I'm actually going to do like a whole episode on all of this, but I've been wanting to do it since I was like a little girl, sort of did my other things that I did. And it's always been in the back of my mind, not giving it lots of thought. And then it just landed for me. And I was like, do you know what? I'm actually just going to apply for uni. And if I get in, I get in. And I literally got accepted and got a scholarship. And I was like, what the fuck? And then that's when that feeling of like birth kind of came through for me. It was like rebirthing myself again. It was like letting go of all that stuff and like birthing that new baby into my life of like the new version of me, right? Like I'm now studying full time. I'm activating my brain every day. I'm learning things I'm so passionate about. And really that energy of lavish abundance with this card with Archangel Gabriel, it's like that reminder for me of like, yeah, this is like definitely how it was supposed to pan out, and this is so perfect. So I love that. And also that little reminder in there just to nurture self and others so that you can just feel that sense of like safety, security, and love surrounding you. I feel that so much, and that has been something I have not dropped off, is my self-love rituals. I'm always in the bath, I'm always giving myself a womb massage, always doing all the things. So I love that so much. How perfect. Anyway, let's get into the episode for today. So we're going to be talking about why tracking your cycle with the moon is so powerful. Whether you're tracking your menstrual cycle or you're just wanting to track your energy so that you can be connected to that cyclical nature. Because as women, we are all cyclical. I don't know why I just said cyclical when I always say cyclical. Same, literally the same word. But as women, we are all cyclical beings. Whether we bleed, whether we don't bleed, we are connected to those inner energies and we go through those phases. So tracking with the moon can really bring that equilibrium within you. If you definitely also are someone who has irregular cycles, maybe you don't bleed anymore, you're seeking your bleed back, all the things. So I'm really going to like get into this, but a big reason that I wanted to speak about tracking with the moon is because I do have a course coming in November that you can join at any time. It's called Moon Maiden, and it's going to be so powerful. I have ran this once before, although this second round is like completely elevated. And we're going to be going through a bunch of different modules, and you'll be getting all the tools, all the tricks, everything to be able to connect with the moon cycle and your womb cycle, as well as support yourself and literally biohack your menstrual cycle. It's going to be so incredible. So I'll just quickly give you like a layout of what to expect with that, so that as you listen to this, it might just be that you weren't even aware until now that this is what's like necessary for your next step. I know for me, like tracking my cycle with the moon was not something that I like knew was the next thing for me, but equally, like if I wasn't doing that and I didn't start doing that when I did, my life probably just wouldn't be how it is, because it's allowed me to really step into like my higher self and like my evolution and my highest timeline. So the first week of Moon Maiden, so there's going to be 4 modules, one dropped a week. There'll be a mix of pre-recorded, live, and resources kind of through there. So it's going to be very much like no matter what your learning style is, it's going to be like very supportive of that. Module 1, we're going to be going into the foundation. So you'll be understanding your menstrual cycle, the moon cycle, the cycles of woman, very just that foundational work for you to set yourself up to understand sort of all the elements. And then I'll bring all of that together in module 2 when I teach you how to track your cycle with the moon, and you'll understand the different moon cycles. So yes, there's different phases of the moon, but there's also different moon cycles. So if you're bleeding at a certain time of the month, your womb is actually sharing messages with you that you may be in a transitional phase. Your womb is maybe sharing messages with you that it's at a phase of, head down, bum up, doing a lot of work. Maybe your womb is sharing messages with you that it's okay to like really focus on you and not like your external world. So there's different things that you can get from that. And we'll be doing an entire like module on that so that you can really understand. It doesn't matter what moon cycle you're in right now, but you'll get the information to be able to come back to this course at any time when your cycle might shift, so that you can check in with, oh, yep, now I'm on the purple moon cycle. Oh, yep, now I'm on the white moon cycle. So it's going to be really great to support you in that. Week 3 is going to be all about balancing and biohacking your menstrual cycle so you can support your hormones to have optimal health. I'll be bringing in a few different tangible ways for you to implement into your life right now so that you can kind of like kick out the old leaky habits that might not be serving you and bring in some new ones. But equally, it's going to be just that education for you and that foundational knowledge for you to understand that like it's not as hard as sometimes it feels, and it's not as overwhelming as sometimes it feels. And I'll give you these different tools so that you can actually choose what feels good for you right now. And then you've got this to lean back on at any stage where you want to implement that next step. And a massive part of this hormonal balancing is using seed cycling. Now, seed cycling is something, we will be going into in this course, and I'll go into it a little bit on this podcast episode just so that you can understand it a little bit more. But it's basically like it's just the natural way of balancing your hormones. There's 4 different types of seeds that you have throughout your cycle. And it brings balance to your body. It nourishes your body in what sort of vitamins and minerals your body needs at each time to bring your hormones into balance. So it's an incredible tool, and there's actually just been scientific studies done on it, and it has completely helped women with PCOS, which is super cool. And week 4 of Moon Maiden, I'm having my beautiful friend, and she's my beautiful friend, but she's an incredible astrologer, Emma. She's from Em's Authority. She actually has a podcast that I would recommend listening to if you want to keep up to date with, the different things. Anyway, she's going to be coming in and running module 4, which is all about setting you up for the energy of 2024. So this is going to be so pivotal for you in the fact that you're going to be able to end Moon Maiden at the end of December, or whenever you join, the doors are just going to stay open. You're going to be able to go through these modules and actually have a deep understanding of how to bring equilibrium and balance to yourself, your cycle. You're going to know how to manifest correctly, like with the moon cycles and your cycle. You're going to know how to implement hormonal balancing hacks into your everyday life. And you're also going to know the astrological events and like things to look out for with the moon throughout 2024. Like you actually can't get any better set up. Like it's actually going to be so incredible. So that's why I've really allowed this space to also be for women of any stage, whether you are bleeding, whether you've had a hysterectomy, whether you are, wanting your bleed back, you've got an irregular cycle, maybe you've post-menopause, wherever you are, this is actually going to be like the most incredible space for you. So the price is $111 Australian dollars. And that is for the 4 weeks. That is including everything with lifetime access. So if you are wanting to jump in on here, I'll leave the link below for you so that you can join. But that is Moon Maiden. And that is also why I'm feeling really activated to speak into tracking with the moon today on the episode, because honestly, sometimes it is one of those things where you don't realize you need it until you hear it. And then you're like, oh my gosh, like where has this been my whole life? Like this is what I'm searching for. When you kind of like ask your guides or like your angels and you're like, give me the next thing. And then like the next thing comes and you're like, I had no idea it would be that. Like that was moon tracking for me. And that's why I love sharing this with other women. So really some ways that you might want to track your cycle with the moon is you desire balance, right? You desire balance in your hormones, you desire balance in your cycle. You also, though, desire balance emotionally. You desire balance spiritually. You desire balance mentally, physically, right? You just feel like you just want some balance, and tracking with the moon can really bring that for you. It can allow you to manifest with ease. You know how you see those people and they're just like living their dream life. It's like how is it so easy for them? Like, how are they just manifesting everything? Like, what is going on? Like, they say it and they receive it. I just don't get it, right? Like, that is like very much to me, like my point of view is like it's being very connected to that energy. And another reason is to connect to your cyclical nature. Again, we are cyclical beings, women. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you feel like you are or not. Like we all are. We all go through those phases. And tracking with the moon can be a really powerful way for you, especially if you're someone who struggles to have a period, and having that release, right? Like tracking with the moon can allow you to have that release and have that letting go so that you don't feel like you've just got all this built up energy. That can be a really common thing with certain conditions, or, if you have PCOS, for example, and you have a really long cycle and you're just desiring, like, you just want to let go, like you just want your period to come at this point because you just want to have that moment of just like letting it all go. Tracking with the moon is so powerful for this because you can be in tune with those energies to do that, and in turn allowing the old stagnant energy to let go, whether you're bleeding or not, which can bring more ease, because the more and more we're holding on, the more and more painful our bleed's going to be. Anyway, so yeah, if you're basically, okay, let's go into our cycle mirrors the moon, right? So I know it also mirrors the inner seasons, and 100% it does, but it also mirrors the moon. So if your cycle is irregular, we can bring it back into rhythm by tracking with the moon. think about new moon energy. It's very inward. It's very much a time of like you're setting the intentions for the new cycle. And that's also very much like our bleed time, right? It's the start of a new cycle, and it's the time that we're setting those new intentions for the rest of our cycle. Equally, swing the pendulum over to ovulation time, very expressive, very confident, very out there. It's a time of manifestation, right? And then that, like, you look at that exactly with our full moon, and that's the time that we're letting go to bring in the manifestations, to create space for the manifestations. And it's the time of expression. Everyone knows full moon time. We're all loony. We're all crazy. So some reasons that you may also want to track with the moon that maybe I haven't listed is you've had a hysterectomy, right? Like you don't even bleed anymore, but you are still desiring to connect into your feminine energy, or desiring to connect into those parts of self, or maybe you're wanting to just understand the cycle so that you can send that love and compassion and forgiveness to the past versions of you who, when you did have a bleed, you didn't understand what was going on in your body, right? This can also ripple out and affect women who have had menopause, right? You don't bleed anymore, but you still want to connect in with that feminine energy. You still crave that release. You still crave that letting go, and that cyclical, just like, being in flow with your body in that way. And it can really bring that for you. Maybe you've had a little babe and it's been a few months, you still haven't got your cycle back regularly. You're craving that bleed. You just want to go in your womb cave. You just want to let go. You just want to release. Tracking with the moon can bring you back into alignment to able that, so that you are having that release and you're not just built up with all these emotions and all these energies waiting for that anticipation to let it all go. Tracking with the moon is really powerful to bring that balance for you. So something that I want to add as well is seed cycling. So when we're tracking with the moon, we can either track our bleed with the moon, right? But if it's irregular, of course, that can make it a little bit hard, because we're kind of like, what moon cycle am I in? What's going on? Like, I don't understand. Or maybe you just don't bleed and you're like, I can't do that. That's where seed cycling can come in. And this is going to be something we're covering in Moon Maiden. Seed cycling supports your hormonal health, your menstrual cycle. It is biohacking your cycle. It's so incredible, right? Myself, I've used seed cycling because I was having really high levels of estrogen, and my boobs would be so tender. I couldn't even it was so horrible. Like, it was so horrible. And anyway, we know what that feeling is, right? Like, a lot of women do. It comes from various things in our environment, but seed cycling allowed my hormones to completely balance. So that's not an issue for me, right? It was such a huge issue for me. And I was surprised, even after my first month of seed cycling, how much shifted in my body. Seed cycling can also support your skin health, your hair, everything, because it's bringing everything into balance. So I just love it so much. But the basics of seed cycling is we're taking 4 different types of seeds that support our hormones in different ways. We take them at different times of the month throughout our cycle to support our body in what's needing to be released, or what's needing to be sort of like put into our body, right? So the different seeds that we take are flax, pumpkin, sunflower, and sesame. I'll be deep diving into this in Moon Maiden so that you can actually understand how to apply this. But yeah, having them throughout different times of the month throughout your cycle is really powerful. But if you aren't bleeding, or your cycle's super irregular and you can't do it in those like 2 weekly increments, this is where we do it with the moon. We tune into the energy of the moon, and we treat new moon like you're bleeding, and we do the seed cycling in that way. And it actually brings your cycle back. It brings your hormones into alignment, and it's a really powerful way. So whether you are someone who is at any stage of life, you're wanting to balance your hormones, you're wanting to support your body, seed cycling can support that and it's alongside tracking with the moon. So tracking with the moon is honestly, it's so underrated. And I just want you to have a little think, like, women traditionally did this. It was it's a moon cycle. Like, people would always track with the moon. They would know if they're bleeding with the full moon, if they're bleeding with the new moon. And knowing that the wisdom that comes from that is so powerful. And this is what Moon Maiden is going to be for you. You're going to be able to understand the wisdom that your body is trying to share with you at different times of bleeding. Because whether you're bleeding with the new, the waxing, the full, or the waning moon, there's different messages in that for you. It's so powerful. I love it so much. And honestly, like I said, tracking with the moon was something I didn't realize I needed in my life, but it equally has also been a massive part of me being able to manifest with ease, me being able to be connected to myself even more with ease. It's allowed me to just understand why I'm feeling certain ways at certain times of the month. And it's just such an incredible tool to have under your belt, not only for you, but to like support your friends, to support your sister, to support your daughter, like whoever it might be in your life. It's just so powerful to have this wisdom, and it's long forgotten. It's like suppressed wisdom that is necessary to come back, right? Like it's been suppressed through history, and it's time that we start connecting to these parts of self again, because it's just something else. I can't even think of a word. It blows my mind that this was ever lost. But anyway, that is really what like tracking with the moon can support you with. So if you're searching for balance, it doesn't matter whether you bleed, whether you have balance in your menstrual cycle, maybe you're just wanting to deepen that relationship with self. Tracking with the moon is so powerful. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I love you so much. And I just want to remind you, if you haven't jumped over and had a look at my YouTube channel where I upload now video podcasts, Sacred Space with Tanika Lace is where I am. Other than that, I'll be back in your ears next Thursday at 5:55 a.m. Bye.